Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jennifer Britton. I'm the creator of the FlowFlex Scale Framework, which is a solopreneurial operating system. What that means is this is not just a piecemeal process that we're going to be going through, but rather a road-tested, 2 decades-old framework that I have developed over the course of coaching entrepreneurs since 2004 through many inflection points, whether it was the advent of the mobile, whether it was the downturn of 2008, 2009, the advent of virtual, or now the era of AI. As entrepreneurs, we need to continue to keep growing. And a big part of the process is, in fact, doing what I said in my PlanDoTrack body of work, which is a book by the same name. We need to take time to plan. We need to take time to do it. And we need to take time to track things. Now, that's great. That's about the doing piece. But what about the being piece? And that's where FlowFlex Scale really comes in, because a lot of success in the entrepreneurial realm, especially over time, not just the quick hits, people who hit 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures for a year or two. What about those who, like myself and our business, have sustained success over the years, even through these inflection points of change? And I would assert, as I'm doing today, that part of it is getting through consistent habits, routines, and rituals. One of the rituals we really have as a central part of this operating system is the quarterly wrap up. So this year, like every year, we add something on to the business. This year, I have the 2026 FlowFlex Scale Planner. For those of you that have a copy, you're going to be familiar that this is not only a 365-day planner in 15-minute increments, which are very handy for time blocking and laser coaching conversations, but also in creating this with Ovi, our designer. I said to him, we really want to have space to do a quarterly reflection. So you might have a copy of PlanDoTrack or Coaching Business Builder. This is a supplement. And we're going to be going through this Q4 wrap up as the FlowFlex Scale Planner. So I would say that this is, again, a supplement to a longer, more iterative annual, quarterly, monthly planning process that we do using PlanDoTrack, or if you're a coach, Coaching Business Builder. And with FlowFlex Scale, we're going to be using this on a daily basis throughout the year. So in today's video, I want to give us time to actually work on our Q4 review. If you're not familiar with FlowFlex Scale, this is a movement of at least 100,000 solopreneurs and intrapreneurs that I'm looking forward to working with in this framework of flow, focusing on what's going to help you as a business owner or a business leader really activate your strengths so that you can flex through the many iterations, you can collaborate better in order to scale, whether that means adding programs, whether that means expanding your team. It is an ongoing cycle. And FlowFlex Scale is built around a quarterly or 90-day window because we know in today's world, at least in 2025, constraints create opportunities. I'll say that again, constraints create opportunities. And one constraint we can actually bring in as entrepreneurs is a 90-day window. That creates some urgency to get things across the finish line, urgency to finish up projects so that you can move on to the next phase. My guess is that there's been some spark that has been your call to adventure to show up here. And maybe this is the first time you're hearing about FlowFlex Scale. Again, it's not just a planner. It's a coaching process. This is a coaching operating system. We meet twice a week live for calls, Mondays for planning and Fridays for coaching. Midweek, there's a video drop that comes to you. So join us for a quarter or join us for the year. Again, sustained business success is not done in just 90-day windows. We often see the start of that momentum cycle happening after 90 days. Change takes time. And in a chaotic or often turbulent environment, sticking at things a little bit longer is really where we hit the gold. One of my business mentors often shares the story of the person who quit 3 feet from the gold. Imagine if you were a miner and you were drilling and you gave up because you just didn't see anything, even though deep down you knew that there was going to be success. A lot of entrepreneurs throw in the towel just a little bit early. And I've seen that time and time again. Again, I've been coaching entrepreneurs under the umbrella of Potentials Realized for almost 22 years now. I started off my success in coaching groups of young entrepreneurs, not just coaches, but entrepreneurs. Before that, I worked heavily in and across the Caribbean on what we would call then cottage scale industry, working with small beds and breakfasts, working with tourism operators who today in 2025, they're no longer small cottage scale businesses. They are thriving multi-million and billion-dollar operations. So I know a little bit. And not to sound like I know it all, but really, in today's world, you'll hear a lot of coaches saying, I know it. But have they done it? Do they have not just a couple of testimonials, but do they have decades of proof of how their work, how their systems have really impacted others? And I know certainly our work here, Potentials Realized, has had global reach, not only here in Canada and North America, but across Central and South America, the Caribbean, Europe, Africa, and even in Australasia as well. So thanks for joining us. Momentum doesn't come from taking on more tasks. In fact, it comes from aligned action. So a little bit of a plug of why I created the 2026 planner, it really was to take time to look at things. There's a monthly planner, there's space for you to do the work. If you've been with us in the month of November, there are additional videos where we started working on our quarterly rocks. And of course, we've got our weekly focus. So this is week 1 of the year. I'm recording this on Tuesday, December 30th. Haven't started using this, but I will in this moment because what we're going to be focusing on now is our quarterly integration, which you're going to notice right here, page number 2. Page 1, you've got space to put in your vision for this year. You may, in fact, have been one of the several hundred people who have watched our vision planning session. My hope is that you'll tuck that in, maybe even put some notes or a visual on the front page of your cover. This is not available on Amazon, okay? So this is available through our website. You can download it, purchase it, download it, and print it. And what I did is I printed it side by side, again, 2-page, took it then to Staples, who did a lovely sort of plastic cover and backing and bound it. You might also just go and grab sort of the hole punch with the circular tabs as well. That way you can also put in some notes as you go. So our focus for the next 15 minutes is going to be working on this Q4 review. Really, it is an integration. And so I'm going to be putting on our timer. I'd invite you to follow along. If you need a bit more time, then please just keep going. Just pause this and keep going. But for now, want you to note what are the months Q4 for you. Put that down, what those are. And we're going to get started with, in just a minute, with our timer here. So I'm going to just get that started. I'm going to put a 3-minute on, and I'll just actually go back to our document here just so that we've got technology all working. I'm going to pause the timer. And we're going to bring this up. We're going to do 2 minutes on each question, starting with a reflection back. What were your achievements this quarter? I'd invite you to take note, take stock of what were your achievements this quarter. And we will get this going. There you go. So we're going to work with this section here at the top. What are your quarterly achievements from October, November, December? All right. So I hope that you found that useful and were able to really look at not only the big things, but also some of the smaller things. And achievement might not be something necessarily that has finished. You might have been laying the groundwork for things. So, invitation, do this now, but also come back to it. We're going to move on to the next question of lessons you've learned. What are some of the lessons you've learned this quarter? What are the things that might have been easy and very visible? And what are the things that were maybe learned in a more challenging way? Take a couple of minutes to capture your lessons learned on a business and also hopefully a professional and personal and maybe even family and relationship level. All right, we're going to go to the next question, which gets you to think about your habits. What habits supported you? And a habit might be going to the gym, doing a weekly review, connecting with people, focusing on hobbies or crafts or learning. What are some of the habits that have really helped you as a business owner and as a business? All right, we're going to move to the next area, which is metrics. And like PlanDoTrack, understanding the key drivers of our business is important. At first, we may not know what those drivers are. So this is where data like followers, your revenue in, your expenses become key. So you might want to come back to this one after doing some of that number crunching. But for now, at least identify the numbers and the metrics that you know. If you have them from the start, great. If you don't, at least capture them at the end. Things like LinkedIn, things like revenue this quarter, number of students or clients, etc. All right. Our next area are enablers. What helped your success? What helped you do what you did? What helped you be who you are? What are those enablers that were helpful for you this quarter? All right, our last section here is the derailers. What threw you off track? What threw you off track? All right, I've left the best for last, and I'm going to do a minute on each one of these. So we have our FlowFlex scale rating, which is something that shows up every week. Again, FlowFlex scale is an entrepreneurial or specifically a solopreneurial operating system. It's about developing capacities and skills and mindsets, as well as tools and practices in 9 core areas. These 9 core areas are areas that I've been coaching around since 2017 with the advent of the Coaching Biz Growth Lab. With FlowFlex Scale and the 90-day lab, we've now condensed that learning and that action into 90 days, which actually works out to be 13 weeks. And within that 13 weeks, we dial into 9 core skills divided into flow, activating our strengths, flex, being more agile, and scale. Scale being amplifying and expanding, even in times of change. So we're going to go through this very quickly, 30 seconds per. You'll want to give yourself a rating on a 1 to 10, with 1 being low, 10 being high in each of these 9 areas. So we're going to start number 1 with DNA. Where are you with your strengths, your capacities, your values on a 1 to 10? All right, our next area beside it, which you'll label here, is actually conversations. How are you doing with conversations with clients, with stakeholders, with partners? Where are you on a 1 to 10? All right. And on that note, if you haven't read the 7 conversations for change around things that matter, it's a quick ebook where I go into 7 conversations that you're going to want to have with your business and with others related to your business. So we've done DNA, we've done conversations. Our next one is business foundations. Where are you with your business foundations? Think about systems, think about operations. We've got to have that solidly locked in, even routines. All right. At FlowFlex Scale, we go much deeper into these, but I just want to give you a high level. You can make up your own definition. So that's flow, our 3 areas of DNA, conversations, business foundations. Second area of this work is, of course, flex, because in today's world, being able to be agile, being able to be responsive is critical. So it's about planning and execution. It's about getting things done. It's about collaborating with others. So let's start with planning and execution. Where are you with planning and execution? All right. You might be giving yourself some, like, I gave myself an 8.9 on that one. So we've got planning and execution. The next one is team and relationships. As solopreneurs, we don't do everything alone. So where are you with your team and or relationships? All right, our next one, which is really the 7 o'clock position, is looking at productivity. Are you working with your circadian rhythm? Do you have systems that support you? Are you at your best? Do you have habits which are helping you get sleep? Do your best work. So, where are you on a 1 to 10 around productivity? All right, our next wedge takes us now into the area of scale. So we have three left. Scale, of course, is scaling your business. And one of the first ways to scale is through visibility. Where are you with marketing and visibility? Our next and second last wedge is products and programs. As a coach, likely you have multiple lines of business. Where are you with your products and programs? All right, I know there's not a lot of room, but it's enough room. And our final one is business acumen. Most coaches don't start a business because they want to be business people. But the reality is, we really need to continue to grow our business acumen, understanding the foundations of business, which includes operations, financial management, program development, human resources, even as a solopreneur, and especially as a solopreneur, if you're a one person show, these our lack of knowledge in certain areas can really come back to be a problem. And so that's where you want to partner with others, have fractional team members, have or even have people that you can be reaching out to and contracting to help you grow. So final one is business acumen. Where are you at the end of this quarter with your business acumen on a 1 to 10? All right. So you've got a pretty full page. My guess is we're going to actually take 1 more minute on this FlowFlex scale rating. I want you to note with your FlowFlex scale, I'm going to give us a minute. Um, what do the numbers say? Where might you want to be focusing in the next quarter? Take some notes down. All right, I'm going to give us one more minute to just read through everything, do a minute and a half, and that will be an invite for you to just take any other notes. And I hope that this is something that you will be revisiting, whether it's weekly or monthly. There's going to be some gold here that over time you will be able to come back and notice. Again, part of FlowFlex Scale, it's an operating system. We don't look at every piece in an operating system every week, but like plan, do, track, we've got to track things. And so systems only work if we're tracking, if we're coming back to these things. While this is a quarterly review, you might opt to do this monthly. All right. It's really been a pleasure. And although this has only taken less than half an hour, I hope that you're getting some good value. If you're with us in the FlowFlex Scale Lab, I hope that you'll bring this to our Q1 January 1st kickoff call. We're going to be talking about this and building onto this. I would also say, please take a look at your vision. How might your vision also inform not only notes around achievements and lessons learned, but opportunities for how you can apply those achievements and lessons learned? If you noticed a lot of derailers, that's okay, right? Awareness is the first step. What are you going to do differently in the next quarter? So you might even have a final prompt on the start, stop, continue. In fact, I'm going to just invite that. And you might have noticed that I stood up because I realize I want to take a few more notes. Ideally, I would have had some post-it notes, but as you can see, I'm not working in my office right now. My son is back home, and so he has taken over my office for the next few months, at least during some weekdays when he's not at work. But I want to make sure that I've noted this. So we're going to do one final prompt here. This is an add-on, it is not in it. And that is 30 seconds of what do you want to start, 30 seconds of what do you want to stop, and 30 seconds on what do you want to continue. Okay, so start, stop, continue. I'm going to pull up our timer app one more time, and we'll give ourselves 30 seconds to just note down what do you want to start? Start. And what do you want to stop? What are the things, the habits, the routines, the mindsets that you want to stop in the next quarter? And finally, what do you want to continue doing in the next quarter? Right, and that is probably about 30 seconds, given that I got five bullets there. Again, I would love to have the opportunity to have you join us. And really, if you enjoyed today with this review, I hope that you will join us in the next quarter. As I said at the start of this call, business success in a changing environment requires not just a random ideas and techniques and tactics that you apply. It really is about activating an entire operating system. And in order to get the momentum and traction that you're looking for, it's not always going to happen in one quarter. In fact, you may be laying the foundation in the first quarter, then really developing some of those habits and routines in a second quarter. As you get into a third or fourth quarter, we're now starting to discern what really is working. What are the patterns? And often with patterns in a lot of our businesses, especially if you're a coach, there is going to be seasonality year to year. That's part of this notion of doing these quarterly reflections so that we could be tracking. Tracking is so critical for success. My hope is that you got some good value out of this. Again, if you have the calendar, keep on using it. I'd love for you to share with us and maybe repost our feed pictures of you using the calendar. I hope that it might be inspiration to join us for the FlowFlex Scale Lab. We meet Mondays and Fridays for live calls. Monday's always a planning session. 10:30 to 11 a.m. Eastern. You don't have to be there live. The recording is sent out, but it gets you in that habit of doing the work, of really being selective with your discernment. What are you going to focus on? And you'll notice that that links to, I'll just put one more plug in here for the actual planner itself. We then want to make sure, and I'm just trying to find a week that is not obviously written all over. So we'll use this week. You've got your 15-minute blocks, but you've also got your top three priorities. Like today, one of my priorities was to do this review. It's not enough to say, hey, get the planner. I really think there's an important part of walking through this together, whether we do that synchronously or asynchronously. I have to say, one of the reasons why I feel this business at Potentials Realized, Group Coaching Essentials, Conversation Sparker, however you met me, has been successful is because of routines, rituals, and habits. I'm writing more on that in the upcoming books around FlowFlex Scale, around human connection architecture, around coaching for the future, because these are the things that are going to help people continue to thrive in ever changing, rapidly changing contexts. I could say so much more, but that's why we have Friday calls that are coaching related. That's why I do the weekly videos in the FlowFlex Scale program. So Google it, you can find us, and I hope that you'll join us in the new year. Thanks for being with us. Take care. Be well.